You know what's funny? When a woman finally stops reaching out, stops checking his stories, stops waiting for that text, something unexpected happens. The same man who once seemed distant, distracted, even uninterested, suddenly starts thinking about her all the time. He might not show it. He might even act like he doesn't care. But inside, he's fighting a storm he can't explain. Why? Because silence speaks louder than any message ever could. What men don't tell you, what they won't admit, is that your absence forces them to face something they've been avoiding, the feeling of losing your energy. It's not just about missing your presence. It's about realizing what your attention meant, what your care provided, and how empty it feels when that energy disappears. This isn't a game. It's psychology. When you walk away, when you stop chasing, when you let the silence do the talking, a man starts replaying everything, every word, every glance, every moment you gave him your time. And that's when obsession begins. So if you've ever wondered, does he even notice that I stopped reaching out? This is where you'll find your answer. Because tonight, we're breaking down the secret truth about what really happens when you step back. By the end of this video, you'll understand not only what goes on inside his mind, but also why your silence might just be the loudest statement of self-worth you'll ever make. When men pull away emotionally, it rarely starts with an argument or some big dramatic moment. It happens quietly, slowly, almost unnoticeably. At first, the texts get shorter, the calls come less often, and the effort that once felt natural begins to fade. Most women blame themselves, wondering if they said something wrong, if they asked for too much, or if maybe they just weren't enough. But the truth is far more complex than that. When a man begins to feel something real, something that challenges his emotional independence, his instinct isn't always to lean in. It's often to retreat. Society has taught men for generations to suppress emotion, to fear vulnerability, to equate openness with weakness. So when genuine connection appears, it stirs something deep and unfamiliar, a mix of attraction and fear, fear of being seen, fear of losing control, fear of needing someone. You might think he's bored or losing interest, but sometimes he's just overwhelmed by the depth of what he feels. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that caring feels dangerous. Emotional closeness demands honesty, consistency, and the possibility of heartbreak, things many men were never taught to handle. So they shut down, they distract themselves. They convince themselves they're better off without you, until the silence starts echoing louder than your presence ever did. And that's when regret begins to creep in. Because pulling away feels safe, at first. But the absence of your energy, your laughter, your warmth, slowly creates a space he can't fill. He starts realizing the comfort he lost wasn't just companionship, it was emotional oxygen. Men pull away not because women are too much, but because they've never been taught how to hold something real. They crave connection, but they fear surrender, and so they run, not from you, but from the reflection of themselves they see in your eyes. But here's the twist. That very distance is what awakens the obsession later. Because once a man experiences genuine connection, and then feels its loss, he can't unfeel it. And no distraction, no rebound, no silence will ever fill that void again. When you finally stop reaching out, something inside him shifts, though he'll never admit it at first. At the beginning, he convinces himself he's fine. He might even feel a strange sense of freedom, telling himself he needed space, that things had gotten too intense, or that he just wants to focus on himself. He believes silence means control. But what he doesn't realize is that silence is about to become his biggest teacher. The first few days are easy. He assumes you'll text again, that this is just another one of those pauses that always seem to end with your message lighting up his phone. But when the days stretch into weeks, the certainty begins to fade. He checks his phone more often than he'd like to admit. He scrolls through your social media, trying to see if you've moved on, but tells himself he's just curious. He wonders if you're thinking about him, yet he won't reach out. Not yet. His pride is louder than his longing. Then something deeper begins to happen. The silence starts to mirror back to him the truth he's been avoiding. Without your presence, he feels the weight of what he lost. Not just the connection, but the version of himself that came alive when you were around. You see, when someone genuinely sees a man, listens to him, believes in him, she gives him something rare, a sense of emotional safety. When that disappears, he doesn't just miss you, he misses how he felt when he was with you. That's when the obsession begins to grow in the background of his mind. He replays your conversations, the way you laughed, the tone of your voice when you said his name. He notices how quiet life feels now, how empty those moments are that used to feel effortless. He might start dating again, searching for distraction, but every new face feels temporary. Every smile reminds him of yours. Every silence reminds him that no one listens like you did. And as time goes on, the man who once acted detached becomes haunted by the very detachment he created. He begins to realize that you stopping contact wasn't a reaction, it was a choice. You didn't disappear because you were hurt. You disappeared because you decided your peace mattered more than proving your worth to someone who couldn't see it. That's when his pride begins to crack. Slowly, quietly, he starts to miss your energy in ways that words can't explain. He checks for signs of you, a post, a song, a memory, anything that proves you still think of him. But you don't chase anymore. You've shifted your focus, reclaimed your power, and in that silence, he finally understands what he lost. Not a woman who waited, but a woman who walked away with grace. When silence enters the space between two people, it does something powerful. It amplifies everything that was once ignored. For men, that silence doesn't just create distance. It creates mental noise. It forces them to sit with emotions they've spent years running from. And here's the part most people never talk about. Men don't become obsessed with the woman herself, at least not at first. They become obsessed with the void her absence creates. When you stop reaching out, you remove his emotional safety net. For the first time, he can't rely on your messages to soothe his ego or your attention to validate his worth. The pattern is broken. He's left alone with his own thoughts, and those thoughts start replaying everything he took for granted. The silence becomes a mirror, showing him what he lost, what he ignored, and how much he depended on your presence without realizing it. This is where the psychology of obsession begins. The male mind craves resolution. When something feels unfinished, it becomes an open loop, a question that demands an answer. Your sudden absence triggers that loop. He doesn't understand why he's thinking about you so much. He tells himself he's over it. Yet every reminder, a scent, a song, a place you went together, pulls him back in. It's not logic driving him anymore. It's emotion, curiosity, and regret, all tangled into one. Then comes the second phase, ego conflict. He starts wondering, why hasn't she reached out? Did she move on that easily? It challenges his identity. It stirs insecurity. The more he tries to suppress those feelings, the louder they become. That's when obsession deepens, not because he loves you more now, but because your silence has forced him to confront himself. You've stopped playing a role in his story, and suddenly, he's no longer the one in control of the narrative. That loss of control drives him crazy. Over time, that inner restlessness transforms into fixation. He'll look for ways to feel your energy again, watching your stories, scrolling your old photos, asking mutual friends about you. He may not say it out loud, but internally he's replaying everything. The last conversation, the last touch, the moment you stopped trying. Every detail becomes magnified. Every memory a spark that fuels his curiosity. And here's the paradox. The more he obsesses, the more powerless he becomes. The very silence he once thought would fade is now the loudest thing in his mind. Because obsession doesn't grow in noise. It grows in the quiet, in the unanswered questions, in the space where your voice used to be. That's the psychology of obsession after silence. Not desperation, not need, but realization. The realization that he didn't lose your attention. He lost your energy. And once a man experiences the emptiness of that loss, he never truly escapes it. When you go no contact, something extraordinary happens. Not just in him, but in you. It's not about manipulation or revenge. It's about energy. You stop chasing, and the energy that once flowed toward him begins to flow back into yourself. That shift, that silent redirection, is what changes everything. In relationships, whoever needs the connection less often holds the power. For a long time, you might have been the one reaching out, checking in, giving reassurance, keeping things alive. Every text, every call, every just wanted to check on you. It all sent one message: my focus is on you. But when you stop, the balance resets. Suddenly he feels what it's like to be on the receiving end of uncertainty. He starts wondering, why hasn't she reached out? Did she lose interest? Did I push her too far? That's when the power dynamic begins to flip. Your silence becomes louder than any argument could ever be. It's not aggression, it's mystery, and mystery breeds curiosity. Curiosity fuels attention, and attention, in the world of attraction, is everything. He starts to feel what you once felt: the waiting, the wondering, the checking for signs. Every time he opens his phone, there's that moment of hesitation. Maybe she texted, but there's nothing. Just quiet. And in that quiet, he starts to miss what he once took for granted. Your effort, your warmth, your consistency. Here's the part that keeps audiences leaning in. No contact isn't about punishing him. It's about showing, without words, that your worth doesn't depend on his attention. You're not sitting around hoping he notices. You're rebuilding yourself. You're becoming centered, grounded, radiant again. And that's what truly captures his attention. Not neediness, not pressure, but absence combined with self-evolution. Every day you stay silent, the energy shifts a little more. He starts remembering moments that didn't seem important at the time. The way you smiled when he made a joke, how you listened when he talked about his dreams. Suddenly, those details carry weight. He's no longer in control of the story. You are, because you've done what most people never have the courage to do. Walk away without needing closure, without demanding answers, without begging to be seen. And that's why no contact is so powerful. It doesn't just make him miss you, it makes him respect you. Respect always follows distance, because silence forces reflection. When you stop giving your energy away, you become the prize again. You stop being an option and start being the standard. So the question isn't whether he'll notice your silence. He will. The real question is, when he does, will you still want to answer? Emotional detachment isn't about being cold, distant, or pretending you don't care. It's about learning to hold your peace when everything inside you wants to react. It's the art of mastering your emotions instead of letting them master you. And that, right there, is the core of true feminine energy. Strength wrapped in calm, grace anchored in boundaries. When you detach, you stop trying to control the outcome. You stop trying to make someone see your worth, because you already know it. That quiet certainty radiates in a way that words never could. It's what draws people in, that balance between softness and strength, between being open yet untouchable. Men feel it immediately. It's the difference between a woman who's available and a woman who's in her power. Feminine energy doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't convince, it embodies. It's not about silence as punishment, but silence as presence, that calm assurance that says, I'm not running after anyone, because what's meant for me doesn't need to be forced. And when you carry that energy, the entire dynamic shifts. The man who once took your effort for granted begins to feel your absence not just as silence but as contrast. He feels the difference between your peace and his restlessness. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you start choosing how you respond. You stop handing your emotions over to someone else, like a gift they haven't earned. You start observing, not absorbing. You begin to understand that love, without self-respect, isn't love, it's attachment, and that realization transforms everything. In that state of calm confidence, your energy becomes magnetic. He senses it even without words. Maybe he can't explain it, but he feels pulled toward it, because your energy no longer says, I need you. It says, I'm whole with or without you. And that's what makes a woman unforgettable. Not her effort, not her chase, but her peace. When you live from that place of detachment, you stop fearing loss. You stop overthinking what he's doing, or whether he's coming back, because you've already come back to yourself. And ironically, that's when men begin to chase. They feel that shift, that unspoken confidence. It challenges them. It fascinates them. True feminine energy doesn't shout, it whispers, and yet it commands attention. It's the power of being still in a world addicted to reaction. And once you embody that, you never need to beg, prove, or persuade again. You become the calm in his chaos, and the one he can't stop thinking about long after the noise fades. When he starts missing you, it doesn't happen all at once. It begins in the smallest, most unexpected moments, when he wakes up and instinctively reaches for his phone, only to realize there's no message from you. When he hears a song that used to play in the background of your conversations. When he drives past that place you both loved and feels a strange tightness in his chest. It's subtle at first, but it grows. Because missing someone isn't about loneliness. It's about realizing what filled your silence before. He starts remembering how it felt when your energy was near. Not just the things you did for him, but the way your presence made him feel seen, grounded, understood. That's the part he misses most. Not the attention, but the connection. Because deep down, every man remembers the woman who made him feel something real. And when that woman disappears, the world suddenly feels quieter, duller, less alive. At first he tries to fight it. He distracts himself, friends, work, social media, maybe even someone new. But no matter what he does, there's a piece missing. He compares the new energy to yours without even realizing it. He misses your laugh, your patience, the way you looked at him like he mattered. And then it hits him. You didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you stopped waiting. That's when missing you turns into realization. He begins to understand that what you gave was rare, that the connection you built wasn't something he can easily replace. He replays the moments where he could have shown up differently, where he could have matched your effort, where pride got in the way. Regret begins to whisper louder than ego. And that's when the real missing begins, not just of you, but of the version of himself that existed when he had you in his life. He may not admit it right away. He may act unbothered. But behind the mask, behind the distractions, the truth is simple. He feels your absence. Because when a woman with genuine energy, kindness and presence pulls away, she takes something with her, something he can't replicate, something his heart keeps searching for in silence. And here's what makes it powerful. You're not trying to make him miss you. You're simply living, growing, glowing again. And that's what draws him back even more. Because nothing is more magnetic than a woman who has found peace without needing to be chosen. By the time he realizes what he's lost, you've already evolved beyond the version of yourself that once waited. That's the full circle of no contact. He starts missing you right when you finally stop missing him. You see, the real power was never in making him miss you. It was in remembering that you were never meant to chase what's already yours by nature. Love, peace, value, and respect. Somewhere along the way, you might have started believing that effort was the same as worth. That giving endlessly would eventually make someone see you. But this journey, this silence, showed you something far greater. Your energy was always the prize. When you stepped back, when you stopped reaching, when you chose peace over chaos, that was the moment you reclaimed yourself. That's not weakness, that's evolution. Because emotional strength doesn't come from pretending you don't care. It comes from caring deeply, and still choosing to let go when holding on hurts more than healing. That's the kind of power no one can take from you. And here's what's beautiful. Once you reach that level of self-awareness, everything changes. You stop craving validation. You stop settling for halfway love. You begin to attract from a place of confidence, not fear. You don't chase connection anymore. You embody it. Your presence becomes magnetic because it's grounded in authenticity, not anxiety. You're no longer searching for someone to complete you. You're simply open to someone who can match you. The truth is, the woman who walks away doesn't lose. She rises. She sheds the version of herself who begged to be seen, and steps fully into the version who knows she already is. And that's the energy that men, and the world, can't forget. That's the kind of power that lingers. If he starts to come back, it's not your responsibility to open the same door he closed. You get to decide who deserves access to your peace now. You get to choose from strength, not scarcity. Sometimes silence isn't just the end of a chapter. It's the beginning of self-respect. And from that place you become unstoppable. So, as this video closes, take a deep breath. Remember the woman you were when you watched the beginning, and notice the shift in the woman you are now. She's calmer, wiser, more grounded. She's not waiting to be chosen. She is the choice. And if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. The most powerful love story you'll ever experience is the one you build with yourself. Everything else that's meant for you will find you effortlessly, naturally. beautifully when you stand in that truth.